What's it say in the t-shirt, Gay? Be the woman. Like it. Quite right. Let's bring ourselves up to standing. We've got a solar eclipse booked in for the end of the class today. I had to pay a little extra for that, but I hope you'll enjoy it. We're standing up with our hands together at the heart center. Presume everybody's basically okay, health-wise, no major issues, apart from the normal stuff. So feet close, all together. If they're not together, they should be level, not out, in, forwards, back. The hands come to the heart center prayer position. If you can, you breathe through your nose. You allow movement. So as I'm talking to you, I'm not thinking about it, but my feet are moving because that helps to keep everything flow. It helps to keep everything flow. And because in yoga we understand that everything is everything. That's a very simple sentence, but it has very wide-reaching connotations. If everything is everything, then the body affects the breath to the point that it is the breath. And the breath affects the body to the point that it is the body. And the mind also, and even our environment. So as you move your feet, see if that can condition a flowing sensation in the breath and in the mind. So we understand that flow is where the mind doesn't get caught up. You know how we get caught on an idea, an opinion, a doubt, an uncertainty, a point of view, a pet peeve. We get caught on stuff, don't we? So, but flow, where the body moves, the breath moves, the mind moves, it's a bit like moving through the forest at speed, like Tarzan, without getting caught. Interlace your fingers, stretch your arms diagonally down, raise your arms up. Good job. As your arms go back, as they go up, they go back. And as they go back, you should tone your tummy so that you can reach into your lower back muscles. If your tummy is toned, it means as your ribs lift, the front of your pelvis is pulled up. That means the back of the pelvis is pulled down. And that gives you, me, an opportunity to stretch our back muscles intuitively, still with the understanding that the body, the mind, and the breath are one thing. Not the philosophical understanding, but the direct experience. So if I understand my body is the same as my breath, when I move my body, I'm looking for my breath to release. You know, that's how you know. And when my breath releases, I know that my mind is going to release. Release, that is, from being attached to one thing or stuck, you know, like caught on something, like getting your clothes snagged on a bush or something in the forest. Take a big wide circle, hands to hips. Breathe through your nose, raise up your right heel. Breathe deeply. Feel into your left foot. Maybe there's movement forwards and backwards. That helps me. We've got arches in our feet, we know that. We might not know that there are 3 per foot. Bless you. So there's a medial arch, a lateral arch, and a transverse arch. We want to wake them up. And some people have got very awake arches, but I think most of us need to wake them up. So I move backwards and forwards. And there's a connection between our foot arches and the tone through the leg. So we're waking up the standing leg, foot arch, and the whole leg until we feel present, not as a concept, but as an experience of flow. Presence is flow. Well, the lack of presence isn't flow because you're caught up, you're not flowing. When you're ready, continue to lift the leg, still feel into the standing leg foot, bring the leg up and up and up and up and up. The focus is actually on the standing leg, where we want to extend and make space and breathe. What's great about yoga is there's adaptations. If it's difficult to raise your leg right up, you can have it down. You can have it on a block. It's about being gentle enough for flow, but energetic enough to challenge our experience. Leg comes up and out. Breathing is deep and honest. Let's keep the H's in our alphabet. Honest. And then back to center. Down you come. Take a breath. Morning, Simon. And shake off a little bit. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Shake, shake, shake. Just so you feel loose. You know what loose feels like. It just feels like loose. Like, you know, Saturday sunny morning in Brighton on an eclipse day. When you're ready, raise up the other foot. And again, we're waking up. We have this fantastic, I think, I like it anyway, this picture of the Buddha I think everybody knows who Elvis Presley is. They also know who the Buddha is. They also know who David Bowie is. And the Buddha, his name, it's not his name. Buddha, it comes from a root, means awake. Bud, B-U-D-H, means awake. And Buddha just is a declension that means he who was awoken. So that's what we're doing here. We're waking up. Waking up from thinking about the future, thinking about the past, thinking about conceptualizing the present. And into this living experience, which is flow. You know it's alive when it's flow, in the breath, in the body. So you never need to get bored. I would have been bored a long time ago if yoga isn't what it is, which is interesting and flow-based and permanently fascinating. We're going to raise up the leg, but it's feel into the standing leg particularly. Breathe through your nose. Hands can be on the hips because then it looks like, you mean business. Breathe deep and honest. Focus on meditative extension through the standing leg without holding the breath. If you hold the breath, then it's not flow because everything is everything. I think I've mentioned that. Pull the leg up and out. Breathe calmly if you can. In infinite focus, meaning there's always more space you can create, openness, more presence you can bring into the body. Return calmly, feet down, breath deep, step those feet generously, hands on the hips, breathe through the nose if you can. With the hands on the hips, of course, the collarbones are wider, but that's not it yet. Yoga is two things. One, a rich sensation, like the stretch across your collarbones. Two, giving to that rich sensation, which you do through your breath. So you can feel the rich sensation of stretch or the invitation of stretch, but then you've got to take the invitation. You've got to accept it, which you do with your breath. So if you don't take that second step, then you won't know what yoga is. Because there's two steps. It's like two stepping stones on a river. You want to cross the river. Taking the first stepping stone just leaves you in the middle of the river. Take the second one. Give to the stretch. Give to the sensation. Give to the invitation of release across your collarbones. And if you get bored easily, it's a restless society that we live in. That's normal. Nothing wrong with it. Turn your back toes in, front foot and leg out on the ball of the foot. Finish off the last bit of the turn on the heel. If you just turned exclusively on the heel, which I saw at least 3 of you do, I still love you, first of all. And secondly, don't do that again. Because if you turn it only on the heel, you've ended up now with heel to heel alignment, which is not the right alignment for the pose because it makes your diaphragm tight. So remember, when you turn on the ball of the foot, the last bit is on the heel. That should give you heel to arch, which is what we do want. Bend your front knee, but stretch into your back leg. Move back and forth repeatedly to invite each and every strand, muscle cell, molecule. Make sure your back toes are turned in, by the way. And you can play any way that works. I like to lift my toes up, for example. That helps me. I like to move backwards and forwards. Once you've start to get every single cell involved, because a lot of our cells are involved with thinking about the future, thinking about ourselves, thinking about whatever. So we've got to get that energy off the thoughts and into the body. So that's where repetition comes in. When you're ready, elbow down, palm up, bottom ribs forwards, breathing deep, arm up, stretch up, and maybe over if it feels okay. Don't hold on to the breath, let it go. That's what the flow wants. Remember, there's 2 stepping stones, and one is the accepting of the invitation to let go, which you do through your breath. Yeah. So we think of yoga like as if a closed fist returning to an open palm. Think of it like that. Think of your whole being like that. Like a closed fist turning to an open palm. Can you feel into the little toe of your back foot? Struggle won't help. Calmness will. Well, good job. Arm down, palm down, push into the leg. Use your inhale to come up. Hands on the hips, feet face forwards, deep breaths that I can hear. I'm sure they'll come naturally. And when the breath is flowing, so is everything. It's like it's a big spoon stirring a pot of porridge, and the lumps in the porridge are areas around which we get fixated. We could call them neuroses. Don't mean to call you neurotic, but I think most sapiens are. Back toes in, front foot and leg out on the ball of the foot, finish off the turn on the heel. So by paying attention to the detail, you're not following habituated pathways. Again, when you're ready, you can bend and extend as many times as is helpful. We know that by moving the body, it increases the levels of fascia. Increases levels of fluidity in the fascia. You're not increasing the level of fascia. In fact, if anything, you're decreasing it because you're melting extraneous fascia. Fascia is constantly being made. Little specialized cells, like little Spider-Man, like the Marvel character Spider-Man, constantly making fascia. They're called fibroblasts. So you've got to melt some of that fascia, otherwise you get all kind of webbed up. And that's what movement does. Come down to your arm down to your leg rather, stretch up and over. Breathe through your nose if you can. Bit of light tone in the tummy, if you can. What does that expression light tone mean to us? Light, first of all, the word is light. Tone in the tummy. So it's effectively a movement in and up, and then again, like a current, influential current that you keep sending through the tummy, so that more and more fibers are doing this rather than that, which is like thinking about the world, thinking about yourself. Okay, groovy. Arm down, push into your leg. Come on up. Feet face forwards, hands on hips. Breathe through your nose if you can. Turn your tootsies inwardly, just a little bit, and do whatever you can for the little toe. It's an ongoing project, isn't it, the little toe, to see if we can get access to it. But here's my tip: calmness conditions connection. So we want to be calm and we want to repeat. So even though my school reports used to say, Jamie, that's what I was called at school, is easily distracted and shouldn't sit next to Jan quite a lot. Even though I'm easily distracted, as some of you might be as well, I still can feel the benefit of repetition. And for 35 years, I've been extending my little toes, and there's no sign of me stopping. In other words, we're not looking to end, we're looking to begin. We're looking to begin. It's like a little riddle, but the mind jumps around, doesn't it? It's like, oh, that's enough little toe stuff. God's sake, Jim. Bored out of my mind. But there's more to it. There's more, you can keep coming back to it. Again and again. And of course the mind jumps around, but that's not a problem. You just keep coming back again and again. It's called abhyasa in yoga, repetition. So if I was on my own at home, I'd probably stay another 5-10 minutes just doing this with my toes. Maybe I should get a life. And then we're going to lift up from the groins on the inhale, the groins top of the inner thigh. Exhale, fold over the groins, hinge from the hips. Now you might bring your fingers to the floor. You might need to take a block if it feels like the floor is a billion miles away.
I have to confess a problem.
What's you got?
I've done something to that. Is it the coccyx?
Where? Sacrum. Yeah. Let's give you blocks then. Your hands.
Couldn't get off.
Oh, ouch. It will loosen. It's just a little inflammation. Yeah. It's painful. I know. Yeah, absolutely. It is. Yeah, totally. You can bend your knees if you need to. I just quote John Lennon: "Whatever gets you through the night, it's all right." Yeah. So again, come back to your feet. The Yoga Sutra of Patañjali, written 1,600 years ago, more or less. Yoga Sutra says when we practice yoga posture, we should be focused on endlessness. Meaning that things like spreading your feet evenly has a beginning, but it doesn't really have an end because it's endless refinement. And eventually the culmination rather than the end, the culmination is complete absorption where you totally forget about being someone, doing something at all. So as I'm talking to you, I'm balancing, I'm moving my pelvis subtly left and right to feel the change that it affects in my feet. And I'm really focused on balancing. I can sort of almost visualize molecules across the balls of the feet, across the heels, that I want to distribute those molecules more and more evenly, but I'm not getting tense. And that's the other thing that Yoga Sutra says. It says, focus on the infinite, but stay relaxed, don't get tense. Yoga Sutra only says 4 things about how to practice yoga postures. And I've mentioned 2 already. The other 2 are to be steady in your happiness, steady in your enjoyment. Okay. Come back to your highest point you can on your fingertips and lead with your chest to come all the way up. Well done. Bring your energy down to your feet. So just imagine it going down to your feet as you walk your feet towards each other. Have a little shake out. We're going to come into Adho Mukha Svanasana, down face dog. So if you all face the midline of the room, which is here today, we're going to come into this well-known but not ancient pose, Adho Mukha Svanasana, down face dog. So the earliest textual reference we have to anything like Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, is in a text from, I think it's 17 something or other, the Hatha Padati, and it doesn't call it down face dog. It says, come onto your hands and knees, bring your bum in the air, and move backwards and forwards. It's called the elephant pose. Gajasana. Breathing into it. So first thing to do is spread your fingers wide. Really spread your fingers, making sure your hands are equidistant from the sides of the mat. Really spread your fingers. Spread the aponeurosis, that is the connective tissue, across the hands. Yeah, I mean, it could be useful. It could be useful. Just getting things moving. Yeah, good idea. Once you've got every part of your palm really in good contact with the floor, and you really spread your fingers to spread the palms, that means that any energy you use pressing into your palms can move up through the arms, through the pelvis, through the lower back as you move. If you relax, if we relax, then we might be able to visualize and feel a very soft opening of the armpits. You mustn't hold your breath to open the armpits. It's a very soft feeling, and it means elongating the armpits. Okay, well done. Good, that's good. Son. Come down nice and easy to kneeling, and you can put a block between your heels and buttocks if you need to. One hand on top of the other. Breathe through your nose. Take deeper breaths. Relax the jaw. I'm a bit of a roller when it comes to kneeling. That is to say, I like rolling side to side on the shins. I suppose I should qualify that. It's not that so much I like rolling. It just, rolling happens and it feels like it's a release of all the doubt that's associated with being somebody trying to do something. I just open up a bit. The reason for that is because when you roll, the mind doesn't have its normal anchors to take hold of. It normally holds the body when it holds the mind, when it holds the breath, according to habits and patterns, down to what we think we are, or that what we've been told that we are. So we're looking to be spacious. So rolling is a really sort of lovely way of making it impossible for the mind to grip or grasp. It just keeps things flowing. And then you might start to feel, if you're rolling, that your breath starts to loosen and the mind just softens. It's not getting hold of anything in particular. It's not getting hold of anything in particular. Keep the jaw passive, keep the eyes soft. We're going to take the knees a little way apart, but we're going to keep the toes touching without overlapping. Then the top of the thighs are going to drop as we come forward. So what we're going to avoid is lifting the bum up off our block or off our heels. We're going to avoid that by coming forwards, firstly slowly, very slowly, with a lot of discipline, that you only come forwards as you feel the groins drop. Now, we all have been taught to be very, very restless. And, you know, we all live, if you live in a city, it's relatively fast paced. I mean, Brighton's a very relatively slow paced city, but if you go to London, it's faster paced. So we might have this feeling, I've got to get somewhere soon. Yoga says that the somewhere is now. That's where you got to get, into the now. And seeing as the now is already what this is, there's nothing to reach out for. Just observe the melting, the breathing, the softening. Melting, the breathing, the softening. You're crossing a river. 2 stepping stones constitute the way we get across. One is whatever rich experiences you're feeling, whether it be in your tailbone, your sacrum, the buttocks, the back ribs or back rib side, or wherever. You experience those sensations of stretch or compression. Stepping stone 1. Stepping stone 2, you breathe into them. If you don't take the second stepping stone, then you won't cross the river, you won't achieve the aim of yoga, which is yoga. The aim of yoga is yoga, which is a Sanskrit word that means coming together. In this case, it's the re-coming together, the recognition of the togetherness of the breath and the mind and the breath and the body, and our environment, all 4 things. So study the pose. Is there an intention inside the knees, for example? You can tell if there's tension inside the knees because the breath will be tense. If your attention is in this inside of the knee area and the breath is tense, then there's tension inside the knees. The solution is easy. Take deeper breaths. Give a little more, like you would breathe if you were relieved about something, you know. Maybe you've done something you were nervous about all week, all month, and then it came up, and then it happened, and then it went fine, and then you got home and you know. Or it could be a long stint of something you've done, and then you're relieved at the end. Come up as calmly and as slowly as you humanly can. Calmly and slowly. And we're going to lay on our backs. And we'd like to have a yoga belt. If you haven't got one, don't you worry. I got a little tiny bucket. It's not a bucket. What is it? Basket? I don't know. With belts in. So if you haven't got a belt, please take one from my lovely bucket of belts. There you go. Bucket of belts. Anyone else belt this? You've got a secret one under there, again. Yeah, the secret one. Anyone else? You got one, got one, got one. You haven't got one up in one, do you? There you go. Over to you. And there's more. I've got more. Oh, you got a secret one. Thank you very much. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten you. Lay down, lay down, lay down. Have yourself a nice time. Solar eclipse is coming soon. I'm excited about solar eclipse. The solar eclipse between, I'm going to say it's going to come exactly at corpse pose. But yes, it's beginning there. It's between 10 and 12. But I think as we go into corpse pose, it's going to come across. That's what I think. And I've actually paid a little bit of extra money to the powers that be to make that happen. So hopefully they'll sort that out. Now, once you're on your back, raise the leg that's furthest away from this side of the room and put the belt around the front of the heel. Very simple. Breathe through your nose. So the front of the heel means there's some contact with the belt and the heel, some contact with the belt and the heel. So breathing easy to yourself. So at first we're not even going to hold it with our hands. We're just going to put it there and make sure we can feel tiny, tiny weight, isn't it? But it's enough to solicit a response from the leg. So if you just feel the belt resting around the front of your heel and you don't hold your breath at all, you might wonder what to do with your hands. If you've got a newspaper, you could read that, but otherwise you can rest your hands either out to the side or on top of the head or wherever is comfortable. So, you're not distracted. And then breathe through your nose if you can. Relax the sinuses. So as you breathe through your nose, of course, it's not just the nostrils, but the sinuses themselves are very, 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 very sensitive. There's a lot of blood vessels, a lot of nerve endings in the sinuses. And the sinuses can inflame or the inflammation can reduce very subtly. So if you imagine your sinus area going through at the front of the skull, softening, as a sort of psychophysical softness. Okay, when you're ready, stay with that softness of the sinuses, reach up for the belt with two hands simultaneously. Take deep breaths and relax your neck. Walk as high up the belt as you can whilst keeping the legs straight. So you want to keep the legs straight. Relax the jaw, relax the eyes. So we want to get this combination between stira, steadiness, and sukha, easefulness. So that's where the breath comes in. And then as we relax, we get more into the body, don't we? So we tend to, as we relax, we tend to expand into our situation. As we tense up, we tend to retract from our situation. So we relax deliberately and we feel ourselves expand. Now we're going to extend the lower leg and we want to expand into the body. So we're going to relax as we move the lower leg foot calmly, enjoyably, investigatively, with a view to seeing if we can, over an extended period of time, no sense of rush whatsoever, if we can extend and open the inner groin through a series of experiments, different to ordinary life where we might be told, do X by Y o'clock. But instead of doing X by Y o'clock, we're doing X, and there's an infinite, it's not, it's an infinite amount of adjustment and readjustment and play. There's no pressure. We're asked to begin. We're not asked to end. So that's coming back to the inner groin. And if I've still got more to do to open up the inner groin space, then I reckon you have too. Keep breathing free. Push your heel without holding your breath up gently into the belt. Make sure your neck doesn't tense while you're doing it. Can you keep that soft? So it's a tremendously beautiful, skillful, investigative awareness. Now we're going to imagine, I don't know how good your imagination is, but we're going to imagine that someone's got a belt, one of these yoga belts like we've got in our hand, and they've got it around the very top of our thigh of a raised leg, right around the crease, and they're just pulling it back so that the crease gets deeper. You know, I often do this. I actually go around the class and do that to one or two people. Get the belt, pull it deep into that crease. Now, what will happen if you imagine well enough and you're not holding your breath is your leg will fulcrum over that sense of the deepening crease, as if someone were pulling a belt into the crease. It goes deeper. In yoga traditions, we call it cutting in. Cutting in. So deepening that crease. Now, as your leg fulcrums subtly, lift up your head, keep your chin towards your chest. Breathe through your nose. Stay with the cutting in, which requires spontaneous breath, and stay with the inner groin space of the lower leg. Slowly bring your head down, then bend your extended leg, the one without the belt. Release the one with the belt. Place the belt down. Love to hear you take a deep breath if you can, you know, maybe 2 or 3 or 4. Just think about that metaphor that yoga is a closed fist turning to an open palm. If you look at hasta mudras, hasta means hand, mudra means seal, hand seals, hand gestures on many, many South Asian iconographies, including green Tara up the front here. They nearly always have a palm open mudra, whether it's up above them or down below them. 2 different mudras with the palm open. One means fear not, abhaya, that's the palm up. And the other, varada, means giving or gift bestowing. So as we turn from a closed fist to an open palm, sense of giving to this moment, all of this, which happens through the breath. Or you've only taken the first stepping stone, which won't get you to yoga, you know. Let's raise up the other leg similarly, and we're going to place the belt. In Sanskrit, these belts are called pattas. Really precisely around the front of the heel, so that 1 millimeter or so of the belt is in direct contact with the heel, and the rest is in contact with 2 of the foot arches. And then we're going to just leave the belt and rest our hands wherever they're comfortable to rest, on the chest, out to the side, on the head, wherever. Don't hold your breath. Do relax your back. Can we? Let's relax. Yeah, that's nice. And the neck. No need for that to be tense. Now you're starting to see for yourself, right? How the breath and the body are one thing. You can feel how your lower back responds. Now, Sir Isaac Newton, of course, came up with the 4 main laws of physics, of motion. And for every force, one of the laws is for every force there's an equal and opposite force. So the downward force of the belt, doesn't weigh much, but it's enough, will evoke an upwards counterforce in our leg. But if you breathe freely, can become a meditation, because it's so much subtlety stirring around. Okay, extend your hands up onto the belt. Extend your lower leg along the floor. And if you can, see if you can open the inner groin. You know, even the language I used is wrong, really. Because I said, if you can, see if you can open your inner groin. But like if you're dancing, a successful night dancing is judged really by whether or not you lost yourself. You know, it's like you just lose yourself. You're not thinking about your job. You're not thinking about your age. You're not thinking about family problems, physical problems, anything at all. Because the dance takes over and you lose yourself. And in a sense, that's when you find yourself, because when you're not generating ideas about gender, age, job, you know, social grouping, familial bias, then you're open, and that's who you really are, right? So as we extend through the inner leg, we're looking at inner groin. It's not a sense of you should extend or I should extend. It's a sense of we lose ourselves through the very subtle investigation. Like when you lose yourself in a hug or you lose yourself in the soft sun on your face. Right? We all want to lose ourselves, don't we? Really. Now imagine in a way that evokes free breath. Imagine the cutting in action. Remember the belt around the top of the thigh where the crease is being pulled into that crease, deepening it. Please make sure you don't hold the breath because that will mean you've picked up the wrong tool for the job. Using a me, myself, and I that's made of ideas and opinions to do something that requires surrender. Just like dance, dancing, nobody enjoys dancing for the first few minutes until they lose themselves. And then, it's like, that's the best thing ever. Why do people like moving around to various sound frequencies and rhythms? Because we lose ourselves. Why do people like swimming in the cold, cold, Brighton Ocean? Some people do. Because they lose themselves. Why do people like the soft morning sun on their face? Because they lose themselves. So when there's an instruction to extend through your inner groin, to cut in the top of the front thigh, these instructions are there for us to lose ourselves. As the thigh comes towards us, because of the cutting in, we can lift our heads up. So you can do that now. But don't lose your meditative, ever variable connection to your inner groin of the lower leg. Ever variable. You're like a surfer, ever adapting. The wave never stays still for the surfer, does it? When she's on the wave, she's ever adapting. Okay, down you come when you're ready. Bend the lower leg. Release the upper leg, both feet on the floor. I'd love to hear everyone take a deep breath, please. 2, 3, 4 or more deep breaths. It's all about the breath. So the closed palm turning to the closed fist turning to the open palm is the metaphor for how we're encouraged to feel in yoga. Now we're going to take the block that was underneath our heads out from underneath our heads. And we're going to simply place it underneath our pelvises. So we're going to walk our feet in, take the block. It goes across the back of the pelvis. If it's too difficult to lift that high, you can just have it on a lower setting. That's fine. So directly across the back of the pelvis, how close to the tail or how close to the crest of the pelvis is up to you. For me, it's quite close to the crest of the pelvis, but you can adapt it so it feels right. I find even a millimeter of adjustment sometimes can make a difference. If your lower back feels like there's a sort of dullness that's revealed, that's a good thing, because many of us do have a dullness, a sort of, in yoga, we'd call it tamasa, which means dull or inert, because the lower back gets squashed a lot. So just letting energy in. Your hands can rest where you like. I find lower ribs is one good option. And if you do put your hands on your lower ribs, what you can then do is push down into your head and elbows, lift your chest and bring it towards your chin, and then land again. That should land you more on the top of your shoulders, which is where we want to be. We want to be more on the top of our shoulders rather than on the shoulder blades. Remember, there are 2 stepping stones. If you only take the first, that is, you evoke strong, rich sensations through yoga poses or through anything else, through a sunset, through a solar eclipse, anything else that's rich as an experience.
then that rich experience isn't the whole thing yet. You've got to give to it. Then you'll be transported into a direct experience of interdependence, which is what we've been talking about the whole time through the mind, the body, the breath. Okay, walk your feet calmly in towards your bum and lift your heels. Then flatten your tummy, draw it down and pull your ribs towards your head. That will keep hold of the pelvic floor very gently. And then raise up, take the block out, keep that hold on the pelvic floor very gently, and then walk your feet away from your bum. Let's see, you got it. And come down, cool, calm, collected. Pop your hands underneath your head, fingers interlaced. Take 2 or 3 or 4 deep breaths and flex your hips. That means lift your feet. Flex your hips, lift your feet up off the floor. Breathe through your nose if you can. Relax your neck, relax the eyes, relax the brain, relax the tongue. Observe the contact the lower back has with the floor. That's the first stepping stone. And give to the sensations therein. That's the second stepping stone. We're going to now flex the abdomen as well, which will involve lifting the head and the chest. And you'll feel that it makes an impression. It makes an impression into the muscles, like pressing your hand into sand, or you can make an impression. And what that does is it challenges whatever signals were coming from the nerves to the muscles and telling the muscles to do something else. You get this challenge. If you breathe into the challenge, that which is coming from the nerves begins to come up and out and allow the pose in. This is how we use yoga to begin to really clean our nervous system. Now, if you're ready, extend one leg to about 45 degrees relative to the floor, and then contract it and do the same with the other. Keep going back and forth between the legs at a pace that suits you. What I'd love it if we could focus on, as your leg extends, a sense in which the abdomen retracts or pulls back. It holds the leg through that retraction back in. So the further your leg gets away, imagine there's a steadying effect from the belly, from that corner, that lower corner of the belly, pulling back up. Couple more if you're okay to do a couple more. That'd be great. Okay, once you feel you've done an even amount, head comes down, feet come down, breath comes out. Like a really deep, deliberate breath, or 2 or 3. Every time you take a deep, deliberate breath, it releases habitual tension from the diaphragm and from the intercostal muscles between the ribs. And so the muscles of respiration can start working together. And we're going to release our hands from behind our head, and we're going to roll over and come up from the side. And we're going to cross our legs facing towards the front of the room, towards this Buddha or this Buddha or that Buddha. There's a lot of Buddhas around, aren't there? You'd expect that in a Buddhist center, wouldn't you? There should be a gap between the legs and pelvis. Breathing is through the nose. Jaw is soft. Good job. The pose is called Sukhasana. Su means good, ka means space. Lift up from your inner groins on an inhalation. Exhale, bring your right hand on the floor behind you. Left hand crosses over both legs and you turn. Now, the skill isn't just turning, because anyone can do what they're told to do with the body on a basic level. But the skill is then integrating with that turn. In other words, looking for those parts of the body that are not turning, that are not agreeing. Ask them what they need to come on board with the turn. It could be some of the lower back or the middle back area could be more upright. Or it could be that we're bending very slightly sideways, a little mild scoliosis. But there's plenty, I think, for us to observe in terms of balance and rebalance and breath. Balance and rebalance and breath. So observing
if the left and right sides of the spine feel level, for example, just observing. For me, I can feel into the left and right sides by deliberately rocking to the left and to the right, noticing elongation as I lean to one side, or elongation of the opposite side, and vice versa. And then gradually, as I feel into the spine honestly with the breath, taking as long as it takes, I start to balance the vertebrae. As soon as the breath goes shallow, it means the mind got caught on a thought. Nothing wrong with that, as long as you know. And then you come back to the project. Lift and turn all the way around the other way. Same thing. Breathe easy and calm. First of all, relax your jaw. Second, relax your bum. Now, a lot of times we don't even know when we've got a tense bum. The only time I know for sure that I've got a tense bum is when I'm at the hygienist or dentist, which I was earlier in the week, and I thought, God, my bum's tense when they're doing that thing with my teeth. And so that's very, very overt. But we can tell if our bum is holding tension by using our breath. The breath is a double-fold tool. It can listen and it can respond. So feel into the bum, notice the bum, become aware of your bum and of your breath at the same time. And if your breath is tense, so is your bum. And if you let go of your breath while aware of your bum will release its tension. Soft eyes, soft jaw, soft tongue, soft bum. So that's a project in itself. And that will keep anyone, occupied. But we can also add the sides of the spine. We never tense up around the projects because we're never expected to finish them, only begin them. Beginning a project such as engaging with the sides of the spine is entering into presence. And being fully present is the project, because the present is a living, interdependent experience that, because it's living, because it's interdependent, because it's full of flux, because it's impersonal, once we experience it, the natural response is to let go. Like when we let go into a beautiful sunset, or into a hug, or into swimming in the ocean and following one of those, what I call sun roads, those little lines of sunlight that you can follow when you swim. Okay, release calmly back to center. Well done. Take a breath that I can hear, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. Remember which cross of the legs you've got, and we're going to take the legs wide. We're going to take them into a generous stride. Just move these marvelous flowers. Does anyone know what these flowers are? Thank you. I knew several people would. That was almost half of you knew. Anemone.
Well, when you said these flowers,
You knew. Yes. Oh, yeah, there you go. No, I didn't know. I didn't know. I don't know nothing. Legs straight up, buttock drawn out and back. I thought they might be gerbers, but that's wrong, isn't it? That's wrong. Okay. Once you're sitting, now if you feel slumpy, slumpy leads to grumpy, so we don't want slumpy. So if you feel slumpy, yeah, a little bit slumpy, but you don't seem grumpy, so that's nice. Might blow my theory. If you feel slumpy, sit on a block. The corner of the block should face forwards. And that means that your thighs are free to drop down, which is what we want because of complicated relationships that we could talk about between the psoas and the diaphragm and the breath and release of the mind. We could talk about that if you want. But a lot of it is in my second book, not released yet, but I did send it to 14 publishers yesterday. Good. 14 I sent it to, so that's a start. I plan another 14 today, and I'll keep going until someone says yes. That's great. Bang it out, exactly. That's it. That's my policy now. Rather than just sitting waiting for someone to find it on my computer in my bedroom. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, turn towards your right foot. Breathe through your nose if you can. Relax if you want. Relax if you want. So relaxation is so important that once in a discussion with a yoga teacher or a yoga studio owner in Brixton, a beautiful studio, I have to say, with very lovely owners. When I was speaking to one of the two owners, Rebecca, and she said, yoga's all about action. And I retorted in a sort of knee-jerk way, I think, no, it isn't. Like that, because I'd just been working on the third book. I'm not even attempting to publish that one yet. And I discovered through yoga history that a lot of yoga was about inaction. In fact, most of yoga is about inaction. Because a lot of our action is karmic, we could say. That is to say, driven. It's not choice. We're sort of compulsive. A lot of our action is reactive. So we want to let go of reactive action. So we want to let go of tension. And as reactive action diminishes and we relax and breathe and expand into the body, then a different kind of action starts to take place, which is intuitive, sensual, spontaneous, like dancing. That's not done by a person. Like hugging, that's not done by a person. You know, in a good dance, in a good hug, sitting in the sun, you disappear, but a different kind of knowing, a different kind of response comes. And that's a power. We call it Shakti. Shakti, Sanskrit for power. Lift and turn all the way around the other way. So when you let go of driven volitions that are conditioned by your family, by your society, by presumptions and assumptions, by letting go of physical tension, and you do that by breathing, physical resistance to the pose, then the more you let go, the more this deeply sensual response begins to show itself. Sometimes, some traditions, it's called Kundalini, which is the Sanskrit from the word kunda, meaning coiled up, and ini meaning she who is. She who is coiled up. In other words, our energy is often coiled up, dormant. Our consciousness is often dormant. But in yoga, we want to expand it. We want to flood the body with it. Yoga traditions come up with various metaphors. Sometimes they call it amrita, and they compare it to like moonlight, or like an ambrosia that floods the body. So flood the body with awareness and breathe freely. Good job. Okay, return to center. Very much hoping you're able to get your legs back together again. Oh, God. And then cross them the other way, so the other one's in front in your own time. And you come to the inner front edge of the sitting bones. There should be a gap between the legs and the pelvis, big enough to put 2 cartons of oat milk. Other kinds of milk are available. And then breathe. So sitting up tall, jaw soft. Just move around a little bit. I think that's natural, isn't it? We want our breath to come from closed to open. Trying to grasp the ungraspable, you exhaust yourself in vain. Release the tight fist of grasping, and boundless infinity is revealed. What is boundless infinity? By the way, that's a line from a poem. Boundless infinity is this living, interdependent, co-relating now, where the body is co-relating to the breath, isn't it? And the mind is co-relating to the breath. So that the first Hatha Yoga text ever written, that we know of, says, don't try and sort your mind out with your mind. You know, it's like telling yourself that you think too much, thinking about thinking too much. It's not useful, is it? Or telling yourself that you should be more calm, or someone else telling you to be more calm. It doesn't help, does it? At all. But instead, the first yoga, the first Hatha yoga text says, use your breath. You know? Feel that your breath is connected to the way energy moves around. And get energy flowing equally all around. Gradually, it flows all around. Inhale to lift. Exhale, turn towards the sunny side. Don't hold your breath. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Balance the left and right sides of the spine. Be honest about it. Being honest is quite tricky, isn't it? A lot of the time we've been taught to ignore our experience so that we've got to make some sort of show of something for someone. Like the show is more important than the content. But in yoga, it's a re-emphasis back on, no, you're not, you know, this is timeless. Okay, keep going as you turn all the way around the other way. Be honest. Difficult, isn't it? It's like, I don't know about you, but I'm used to sort of reaching out. I've got to get somewhere where I can make a show of something that I've accomplished for myself, for my friends, for my society, for my parents, for whatever it is. But yoga says where you're heading to is this. You know, and this is a sort of aliveness. Balancing, balancing, balancing. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Okay, well done. Back to center. Back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, the down face dog. When we come into the down face dog, really make sure you spread your fingers to spread these 4 points on the palms. So across your palms, there's this sort of webbing. It's called the aponeurosis. You got it on your palms, you got it in your lower back, you got it on your tummy, you got it across the soles of the feet. The aponeurosis. It's tenderness tissue that forms a sort of webbing. So when you place your hands, first, let's do this together. Let's really check. Middle fingers face forwards. You can say in your mind, check. There you go. In your mind. No, it's okay. Then are the little fingers equidistant from the size of the mat? Good. And are your fingers all spread the same amount between them equally whilst keeping the middle fingers forwards? So far we've had check. Yep. Then we're going to lift the derrière. It's French, if you didn't know, for arse. We're going to lift the bum up in the air. We're going to come back now to checking that each and every part of the palm is beginning to come into contact with the floor. Now, one way to approach that is to stretch more the aponeurosis, if you can, while still keeping the middle fingers facing forwards. I feel I've got a lot more stretch on the palms of my hands to do than I even realize at first, if I stretch them again and again. Once you've got maximum stretch, then range around. Let the weight move this way and that way on your palms. The index finger side, the little finger side, the heel side of the hand, the front side of the hand. It's as if, as you range around, little lights come on as different parts of the hand touch the floor. It's like switching on a little light. So your palms are like a little village, like a little cute village where all the little lights are gradually coming on. Right? Every single light is coming on. Now, as that process is going on,
You can do other movements, of course, as well, like bending and extending your knees. Regarding the heels, if you want, you can stretch them backwards. Huh? And if you can, if you're calm enough, see if you can sync up a heel going back with the shin going up. The energy of the upward shin goes through the knee, through the thigh. Takes me ages to tune in one leg and then I let go of that and do the other again and again. Good job. Now bring your shoulders forwards above your wrists and breathe into it. If your wrists are painful, this is a good thing for you to do because oftentimes our carpal tunnel gets very, very tight. So stretching it is very, very useful, particularly the tendon on the back. Breathe easy. Now we're going to come to a pose that a lot of people like when it finishes. And that's Chaturanga Dandasana. So we're going to come down, hover, and then push up to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. That's the upward facing dog, which you can do with toes tucked under or toes pointing back. Keep your tummy toned. Find the pelvic floor. Lift your chest. Breathe through your nose. It's not the pose, isn't it? The meditation into the, get into the pose. Move, experiment, melt your mind into it. Well done. Drop the knees, back the hands and knees. Take a deep breath that I can hear. So some sigh-like exhales, spontaneous movements. When you're ready, take the knee that's furthest from me and plant it directly behind the wrist that's furthest from me. Move the foot diagonally across the body as you stretch back your other leg. Now you've got two choices. Most people find are going to get the most release coming down to the forearms, or you can come up. So if your breath isn't releasing, come down to the forearms and it will release the breath straight away. But some people like to stay up in the pose. That also can be nice. And of course, people who get FOMO will want to do both. And the point is, whatever sensation you're feeling, breathe into it. There's only 2 stepping stones. It's guaranteed that if you follow both, you'll enter into yoga. It's only 2 stepping stones. A rich sensation. Got that stepping stone? Rich sensation that you give to through your breath. A rich sensation that you give to. Okay. If you're up in the pose, come forwards down a little bit. If you're down, come up a little bit. And then tuck your back toes under, bring your back knee forwards, come back to hands and knees. Let me hear a deep breath or two. A little bit of movement sometimes is helpful. Remember, the breath being liberated means that everything is liberated because everything is everything. I quote Abhinavagupta and Lauryn Hill. Let's bring the other knee forwards and the foot diagonally across the body and stretch back. Good. Again, if you feel you want to spend a bit of time in the upright, that's great. If you feel like your breath isn't releasing straight away, then you come straight down to the forearms. That will release the breath. Relax the jaw. Find the richness. So it's not just about creating it. It's about being aware of it, opening to it. Like, there can be a beautiful sunset, but you might be walking right past it on your phone. So you got to really open to it. You got to put down your phone, or you got to sit down somewhere. And you've got to just open, and then it's just opening to it. And that's the breath. And when you give, then you find. When you disappear, that's when you reappear in your true form, like a phoenix. Like a phoenix. So when you disappear into a hug, you reappear in your true form, selfless, ageless, timeless, genderless, storyless. You disappear into whatever.
Okay, if you're down, come up a little. If you're up, come down a little. Tuck the back toes under, bring the back knee forwards, come back to hands and knees, and take a deep breath or two. Wag your tail, let your tail release. Just think about a happy tiger, how its tail would be, and a sad tiger, how its tail would be. Sad tiger, I imagine, would pull its tail down. You can pull it underneath itself, sad tiger, poor sad tiger. And a happy tiger, perhaps one that's just had a delicious meal of a human, would have a floating, buoyant tail. And we are tailed creatures. There's no getting away from it. We really have a real tail. It's 3 to 5 fused or semi-fused bones of the coccyx. And we have an emotional connection to our tail still. See if it's true for yourself. I can feel it. I'm sure you can too. If you release your tail, you just let it go, then it has this sense where it feels like it's not curled under. It feels like a happy tiger. You know, a relaxed tiger with a bobbing tail up above it. Now, while we're on the subject of tigers, let's take the arm that's closest to me and the leg that's furthest away from me and lift them up and allow bobbing, which means, you know, the arm and leg can bob around, intimating openness of attention, but also helping to create more hydration. If you want, you can reach for your leg and hold your foot. That gives it a little bit more of the tiger with the tail up sort of vibe, but it's not going to be possible for everyone to do that comfortably. You breathe calmly, keep the jaw soft. When you're ready, come back down. Take a deep breath, move any way that you want. You're a tiger after all. What do you got to worry about apart from humans? You can eat them. And when you're ready, the other arm and leg go up. The pose is called Vyagrasana. Vyagra means tiger in Sanskrit, Vyagra. And Vyagra is where the name Viagra comes from. I was told by Oxford's head of Sanskrit, James Mallinson. So you're the tiger in the forest. Now, if you want, again, there's the option. It's just an option to take hold of the shin, foot. Make sure the breath is free flow. Because you're a sassy tiger right now. You've got to feel into that. It's a powerful creature, beautiful creatures, aren't they? Okay, well done. Calmly, calmly, calmly. Come down, back to hands and knees, and simply take a block. Now, if you've got a cork block, that's the much more better of thing to sit on. But if you haven't, I don't. So I'm just going to sit on the short end of a regular block, which is fine as well. So we're sitting in Siddhasana. Yeah. Butterflesh drawn out and back. So any comfortable position. If Siddhasana is not comfortable, you can kneel if you want. You can sit astride the cushion if you prefer, Simon. Well done, well done. Yeah, well done. No, I love you. Don't go changing. So feel the central channel. So the texts tell us chintayet, bhavayet, smartayet. So that ending, yet, like that, is the third person optative ending, meaning he, she, or they do this. And that is to say, chintayet, think about it. Smartayet, remember it, recall it. Bhavayet, create it, the central channel. So you make the central channel. The yogin makes that sense of a channel. She, he, they feel into it, that channel. So it becomes real to us. It becomes real to us. Tangible. Now, once you start to develop a sense of a central channel, some texts tell us it's the thickness of the space within a lotus stalk. Some tell us it's thickness of the thumb. It doesn't matter. It's anything that engages you. You could, imagine the thickness of your thumb if you want, or just a space. Then we're going to push a mantra up through that central channel. This is a very powerful, very useful practice, a very good way of centering ourselves. And that mantra, of course, is going to be Om. And so what we do is we imagine the channel. We imagine when we start chanting Om that it starts at the pelvic floor and it pushes its way up. When it gets to what is represented by the M with a dot underneath it, we push that nasal part through the forehead center, through these extra blockages and out of the crown of the head. So you make it very nasal when it gets to the forehead. Very nasal means it sounds like if you do an impression of a sort of nerdy person, you would normally do a nasal voice like that. So it's nasal through your nose. Okay, you're going to push it up, and when we're ready, the mantra Om 3 times. Let's go down to the pelvic floor. Inhale. Om. Right up through the crown of the head, and again when you're ready. Make it nasal at the end. Last one. Make sure it starts at the pelvic floor. At the end of that, take a deep, deep breath in with a deep breath like a sigh. Yeah, just relax, relax, relax. Tibetans say after these kind of practices that we sit in Rigpa. Is Rigpa. In between various options, like, dislike, want, don't want, have not, between all those various options that we're always being pulled towards. There's a middle point, a dead center. That's represented by the central channel. Let's lay quietly onto our backs. Make sure you're warm enough. And we're going to do one more little practice based around the Shavasana. So what we need to do is establish a good Shavasana. That is to say, we're warm, that our arms are well placed, meaning that the hands are not on the yoga mat and the palms face up. The palms should face up. Once we've got our position and we've really made a good job of it, we've spent a bit of time getting it right. Then we'll come into a very simple practice that we're taught first in the Dattatreya Yoga Shastra, which was written around 1350. And in that text, the Dattatreya Yoga Shastra, Dattatreya mentions that there are so many teachings from the Lord Shiva, he says, for melting. But one of them is really lovely, really effective, particularly lovely, and that is to let your attention gradually start to settle in the back of the skull. Gradually starts to settle in the back of the skull, our attention. Gradually starts to settle, and it accumulates there. Gradually, our attention draws away from any other objects and builds up until it's fully rested in the back of the skull. As we move gently our fingers, we'll feel prana, energy move through our bodies, through our arms. And we can do the same for our toes and ankles. We begin to move them and notice the energy, the life force that begins to expand. And as it expands, because life force is seen as another form, another way of describing consciousness itself, the body starts to find intuitive movements, come intuitive stretches. We might rub our eyes, run a hand through the hair, stretch out an arm or a leg. Let the prana begin to come in through initial movements, and then let the prana take over with the stretches that we take. Eventually, after several stretches, we'll feel ready to bend the legs, and that's just what we'll do at that time. We'll bend the legs, we'll place the soles of the feet onto the floor, and that gives us another opportunity, an opportunity to scoot the buttocks under and to rest the lower back. From there, roll onto your side, facing away from the shrine side of the room, and lay as comfortably as you can on your side with the knees drawn up, with the tummy soft. In your own time, roll easy again. So you face towards the shrine side of the room. We have beautiful green tara on the shrine. We're just going to put our hands together in a prayer position, if you don't mind. You don't have to. And I'll just say a sentence. If you agree with it, after really feeling it, just checking it out, see if your heart agrees with this. If your heart does agree with it, then say Om out loud, which means I agree. May any benefit that we've gained this morning and are acting in this way be shared for the alleviation of the suffering of absolutely every single being. Om. Thank you all very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Of course, I'd like to highly encourage you to take my flyers. I want you to take them and do what you will with them. But they're out there in the hall. One is general flyer for everything I do, and the other is for the upcoming in May yoga immersion, where if you're into learning lots about yoga, I guarantee you will. And that's the end of the advert. Thank you very much. Thanks, Zoomers, as well. Those of you that are left, thank you for coming. And hope you have a good day. Thank you. Gracias to you too.